The Shadow in the Hall. Once upon a time, in a small, creaky house at the end of a long street, there lived a little girl named Lily. Every night, after her mother had taken her medicine, tiny white pills that made her sleepy, Lily would crawl into bed, clutching her favorite stuffed bunny, Mr. Floppy. But tonight felt different. The air was thick with an uneasy silence, the kind that wrapped around you like a heavy blanket. Lily could hear the distant sound of her mother's voice, low and slurred, drifting from the living room. Sometimes her mother would laugh, a strange, shaky laugh that made Lily's heart race. Other times it would turn into shouting, and that scared Lily the most. "Mr. Floppy," she whispered, clutching him tighter. "What if Mommy gets angry again?" Mr. Floppy didn't answer, of course, but Lily liked to pretend he understood her fears. As she lay in bed, she imagined the shadows in her room were alive, creeping and swirling. They danced on the walls, flickering in the dim light from the hallway. She felt like a tiny bug, trapped in a web, waiting for something to happen. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and a long shadow stretched across the floor. Lily held her breath, her eyes wide. It was her mother, standing in the doorway, her hair messy and her eyes glassy. "Lily," she called, her voice echoing in a way that made Lily's stomach twist. "Come out here." Lily wanted to hide under her covers, but she couldn't ignore her mother's voice. She slid out of bed, Mr. Floppy still clutched in her arms. As she stepped into the hallway, the lights flickered, casting eerie shapes that danced around her. "Mommy?" she said, her voice barely a whisper. Her mother swayed slightly, the shadows around her making her look like a ghost.
"I need you, sweetie,"
she said, but her words sounded mixed up, like a puzzle missing pieces.
"I just want to talk."
Lily took a hesitant step forward, but the closer she got, the more she felt a coldness wrapping around her. "Can we talk in the morning?" she asked, hoping her mother would understand.
"No, now."
Her mother snapped, the anger making her voice sharp like broken glass. Lily flinched, her heart pounding. She wanted to run back to her room, to the safety of her bed, but the hallway felt like a dark tunnel, pulling her closer. "Please, Mommy," Lily pleaded, her small voice trembling. "I'm scared." For a moment, her mother's expression softened, and Lily thought she saw a glimpse of the loving parent she remembered. But then the shadow in her mother's eyes returned, darker than before.
"You think you're scared? You have no idea what's really scary,"
she said, her voice dropping to a whisper that sent chills down Lily's spine. Lily looked around the hallway, the shadows creeping closer, whispering secrets that only she could hear. "I'm sorry, I just want to go to bed," she cried, tears pooling in her eyes. Her mother's laughter filled the hallway again, but it was different this time, hard and hollow.
"Fine, go, hide in your little room."
She turned away, her shadow looming large, and stumbled back into the darkness. Lily didn't need to be told twice. She dashed back to her room, slamming the door behind her. She threw herself onto her bed, clutching Mr. Floppy as if he could protect her from the shadows. The muffled sounds of her mother's voice faded, but the fear lingered, wrapping around her like a thick fog. As she lay in the dark, Lily made a promise to herself. She would be brave no matter how scary the nights became. She would hold on to the good memories of her mother, the ones before the shadows took over. But as she closed her eyes, she couldn't shake the feeling that the darkness had a life of its own, watching, waiting. And just like that, Lily drifted into a restless sleep, hoping for a brighter morning, yet knowing that the shadows would always be there, lurking just beyond the door. And so, in the quiet of the night, the shadows whispered their secrets, waiting for the dawn.